Hi, my name is Dr. Molly Fitzke. I'm a visiting nurse assistant professor at Nebraska Wesleyan University.
And my name is Linda Hardy. I'm also an assistant professor at Nebraska Wesleyan University. And I will try to stay in the frame with Molly. We're going to spend just a few minutes today talking about problem statements and purpose statements as they relate to nursing research.
I'll begin to discuss about problem statements. Oftentimes, research problems find the nurse rather than the nurse finding the problem. With this being said, usually the problem is the easiest step in research to undertake. Sources of research problems, this could be in your clinical practice observation, educational experiences, patient feedbacks, professional literature, performance improvement studies, social issues, research topics, and also priorities. Now, problem statements are the statements of the gap between the known and the unknown. They also articulate the area of concern and provide support of extent of the problem. Problem statements also focuses the research process on a known nursing practice problem.
So, for an example, I'm going to read you the problem statement from a research article published in the Journal of Nursing Scholarship, which is the publication of Sigma Theta Tau, the Nursing Honorary Society. And I don't know why I took my glasses off, because I need them to read. The title of this research is Creating a Curtain of Protection, Nurses' Experiences of Grief Following Patient Death. So the problem statement, that implies that it's one sentence if you say statement, but in actuality what you'll typically find when you read research articles is that usually it's 2 or 3, sometimes a whole paragraph, to develop why this is a problem that needs to be researched. And as another example, in my own dissertation proposal, it was, how many paragraphs did I count? Too many, actually, but it was several paragraphs. So let me read this to you, and you'll kind of get an idea for what a problem statement is. Although nursing and other healthcare leaders recognize that nurses experience grief when their patients die, many nurses do not receive even minimal training regarding the grief process. Most of the instruction they do receive is in supportive interventions for patients and families. It is hoped that an understanding of nurses' grief resulting from the death of their patients will facilitate support and offer effective coping mechanisms within the work environment, while also yielding valuable information for the direction of nursing education in this neglected area. So basically, what they said in that paragraph is that nurses do in fact suffer from grief when their patients die, but this has been neglected as far as research and as far as nursing education to help prepare our new nurses for how to deal with this. So there's the problem statement from that.
That's a great example of a problem statement. Another example of a problem statement is from my own dissertation. My dissertation title was called Nurses' Attitude Towards Sex Offenders. Generally, the image of a sex offender is nondescriptive and unclear. Many offenders begin sexually abusing for a multitude of reasons. Regretfully, they do not fit in any certain discrete categories. It's commonly assumed that the professional nurse treat and care for all types of patients equally. Nurses are educated to be compassionate and non-judgmental. One's own ethical belief may be compromised when assigned to patients that are known sex offenders. Problem is, do they? So that is an example of a problem statement.
And as we said, that was actually several sentences, but probably a whole paragraph.
Absolutely.
So to develop the problem so that your audience understands what the problem is, it takes a little bit to develop that.
And practice.
Yes. It's difficult but doable.
Right.
You can do it.
You can.
A purpose statement, on the other hand, is typically just 1 or 2 sentences. A purpose statement is an objective statement indicating the general goal of the study. Generally, what are you trying to do with your research to address this problem that you've identified? It should describe the direction of the inquiry and should contain the key variables. What are you mostly looking at?
The background music for you.
And we're just going to ignore that because I didn't think to turn it off before we started this project. So, having said that, and with, sorry, having said that, I would like to read you the purpose statement that goes along with the problem statement that I just read you. And you just have to know, Molly and I have, this is take 4. So we're going to let that phone ring in the background and keep this one, I think. The purpose of this study was to describe the lived experiences of nurses following patient death. The aims, which is a little different way of saying the purpose of the study, but you'll often find both a purpose statement and a statement discussing the aims of the research. The aims of the research included investigating nurses' grief to develop understanding of nurses' feelings, emotions, grief reactions, and coping mechanisms following the death of a particular patient.
And overall, the purpose of this video cam is for you to understand problem and purpose statements. So with this background noise, and you can see how well we've tried to adjust, and hopefully you guys gain a better understanding.
And we're hoping that maybe you're laughing a little bit too.
Right.
Because we really did want this to be so good for our students.
We did. It was going well at the beginning.
We really did.
Another example of a purpose statement, and that's from my dissertation again, was the purpose of the study was to explore nurses' attitudes towards sex offenders. Plain,
which is perfect.
Clear, specific.
Perfect. Very clear. Tells you what the research is about.
Thank you so much. If you have any additional questions, please come and see Linda and I. Linda, we're in her office. You can see all the books in the background. I come in here quite a bit.
But we would love to help you understand research a little bit better, and hopefully this video did that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.